So there's no world where Tina is just paranoid and this is in her head that this stuff is happening and it's really not happening.
Is there another world where that happens? Like another
No, no.
dimension?
I mean, like reality, like realistically, this stuff is real that you're talking about. Because to the
Yeah.
viewer, somebody's gonna be like,
It
"Oh,
sounds
she's always."
crazy. It sounds
Yeah,
crazy. I mean, I
right.
can show you guys. I can pull up text messages with the fucking trafficker guy. You know what I mean? And show you my communication with him.
Pin it up.
All right. I think during our last interview, you were about to leave to the Philippines. You were making a big change in your life. Now you recently came back to America. How was that experience for you?
Oh my God. It was my second time in the Philippines. I was there when I was 17 for 6 months. Um, so I went back and it was different this time because I was like I was living alone as a single woman. When I was there when I was 17, I was under like my brother's godfathers, I was like with the family and everything. So, but this time, I got into some danger. I will tell people as much like I love the Filipino people. I love Filipino culture. I love Filipino food. I love Filipinos. I grew up in San Francisco in the Bay Area, so I grew up around mad Filipinos all my life. Um, it's a dangerous place because of the poverty levels. Um, you will get scammed if you go there as an American because they can detect who is who. I almost got sex trafficked after a gig one day. Like one of the other Latin singers brought some young girl that she had just met, and this young girl ended up being she had been prostituting since she was 15, and she was working for her pimp was a Jewish Canadian Turkish expat, and he basically used her to go and recruit people. So like last minute, long story short, I caught her in lies. Like it was like 3 days of her lying to me. Um, then I started playing a game, and then, like, she ended up telling me, like, it was m minutes before she was gonna be taking me t in a car to I was supposed to be going to a Christian church to go sing worship music, right? Because I was like, "Oh, you know what? I haven't done that in a while." That's how I grew up, but I was open to it. She's told me she was gonna take me to a synagogue where I was gonna be kidnapped by the Jewish Canadian Turkish expat pimp. So I even spoke to the guy the next day on the phone. I was like, "I don't know what kind of fucking operation you're running out here." I said, "But I will fucking hunt you." And then I had made some connections out there or whatever, so I called, friends in government and who had people in Interpol or whatever. So like, I was made sure to protect my space. So that happened. On the positive side, I got into some music out there with some really great artists and people and musicians. I mean, Filipinos are masters of tone when it comes to using their voice, you know what I mean? And they do it without ego. And it's just it was a beautiful thing to learn from them, to be a part of them. Um, but like I said, everything has its negative side to it. So I just had to be a little bit more reserved and careful with people. I also did into the dance scene while I was out there. They dance a lot of salsa, bachata out there. So they're really good too. So I was like, I had a really good time as far as that went. And then I ended up in a pageant. So, and this was the crazy thing too, because it's like I'm not sure. I had a publicist while I was out there, and I'm not sure if I was being lied to or what happened. But so she was like, to get exposure, because pageants in the Philippines are like, they're super big. Like they get a lot of exposure in media out there. Um, so she was like, like I'd like to have you join or whatever. And it was Miss Environment International. So I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly like up my alley. So she was like, pick a country, wherever you're from. I'm like, well, USA was already taken. So I'm like, I got to represent Peru since I'm part Peruvian. So my whole thing is I was introducing because right now, they ended up actually taking like miles of the Amazon rainforest out, which the Amazon are the lungs of the earth. This is actually what provides a lot of the planet with the oxygen that we breathe. So that was, it's a big thing. You have people in government that have been paying off people over there to remove and so they could replace it with highways. So my thing is, okay, let me introduce vortex-based math. Because I even found out too that Qatar, the country of Qatar, has implemented a math into their entire infrastructure in their country where they're able to provide all of their citizens with a universal basic income. And where every citizen, if they don't want to work, they don't have to, and they live comfortably. So I'm like, this is exactly where I'm headed with. I've talked to you about vortex-based math before, right? So that was my presentation in the entire pageant was vortex-based math, because that's a big problem. Vortex-based math will eliminate poverty, sickness, and disease, and Qatar is already doing it. So I'm like, we have the blueprint right here. You know, I'm not crazy. I've been talking about this for years, and people are like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm like, I know what I'm talking about. So we got Qatar doing it. I'm talking to them about this, and I'm in the middle of the entire pageant. I'm realizing, you know, really pretty girls, and some of them are really into the environment. Some of them are using it just as a front cover so they can come and just be a pageant girl. It is what it is. And one of our points of contact, and one of the, you know, the people that was like helping organize it all in the Philippines, it was the Climate Change Commission. And during the week of the pageant, they were telling us they were starting to push this carbon footprint calculator. And what I know about this carbon footprint calculator is it's basically like it's going to start. Well, it's actually been put to a halt here in the U.S. And I think I put a stop to it in the Philippines. So I put a halt to it. Because I made news with it too. So it's basically policing every citizen on like how many planes do you fly a year, how often do you drive, how much meat, chicken, beef do you eat during the week, do you recycle? So basically like nitpicking every human. And this is kind of what leads to what China has, is the social credit score, and like to where now you're monitoring every single human on little things. And this is I saw this, and I'm like now immersed in all of this, and I'm like, this is a precursor to global slavery. You know what I mean? So now they're blaming all of us citizens who are subject to corporations, where we have to use the water bottles they provide for us. We have to do this. We have to, you know what I mean? We. So I'm like, I just kind of started blowing things up in the middle of the pageant because I'm a little passionate, you know? And I started like letting them know, like, well, this isn't right, blah, 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 blah. And then I also like was privy to information because we were at a dinner one day, and one of the other people from the Climate Change Commission had just come from a meeting at the UN somewhere, I forgot which country. And they were talking about, had a meeting about pushing this carbon footprint calculator. So ended up having at the coronation, long story short, oh my God, it's such a long story. Apple Diop from Black Eyed Peas performed. He is one of the first celebrities in the Philippines who was going to be pushing this agenda as well. So not only are they pushing the carbon footprint calculator, but the positive thing to get, you know, to tug at people's heartstrings is like, oh, you have to plant this many trees. If you eat this much meat, then this is how many trees you have to plant, right? Now, my thing is that sounds like, oh, okay, you don't have to do my job as a human and go and plant all these trees. Well, I'm sorry. All of the trees that have been removed from the Amazon recently, there are not enough humans to replace those miles of trees on Earth. So it's like a psychological operation to guilt trip humans into now spending their energy in a different way. And so that now we can be monitored more, policed more, restricted more, you know, more authoritarian control, totalitarian government, that kind of thing. So at the coronation, the entire week, the organizer of the pageant loved me. I was performing. I performed my songs. I performed all kinds of stuff. But the Climate Change Commission lady, there's this thing about me sometimes. I know when there's someone really evil, I detect them and they detect me. So I was like on her radar the entire week, to the point where the organizer kept wanting me to perform. And every time he wanted me to perform and sing, she would try to stop me. And so they had the talent portion of the pageant, and I performed, I did my song or whatever. And they ended up at the coronation, they snubbed me the talent award. Like, let's just be real. I should have won the talent award. I didn't care about winning no pageant. I was just there to get exposure in the Philippines because my publicist wanted me to do this. And then I got excited because then I wanted to share my message. So in order for me to have spoken my Vortex-based message on that platform, I would have had to make the top 12, right? I didn't really care about making the top 12. I cared about being able to speak my message. But what I really cared about too was winning that talent award. You know what I mean? Because I should have won it. So they snubbed me the talent award. Of course, I wasn't going to win top 12. You know what I mean? So right after they snubbed me the talent award, I walked off stage and I put my stuff on. I walked back in the ballroom and I got in front of the media and I started screaming at the top of my lungs, "This is a precursor to global slavery." I said, "Look at what they did. They made us get the vaccine, all of this." And I was like, so it made news. And the media misunderstood. They thought that I was upset that I didn't get top 12, but I was really upset because I didn't get the talent award. They snubbed me the talent award. But it was crazy. But long story short, it was all meant to be for me to cause that ruckus and to alert the people in the Philippines about what was going on with that agenda. And it now has been put to a halt.
Wait, so how long after the situation with you almost getting trafficked that you moved back to the US?
So I almost got trafficked in like, I think it was May. Yeah, it was beginning of June. But I had my lease there. You know what I mean? So I had a year lease. And so my lease was up in January
Of 2027? So you
or
left early?
2020. Yeah, I left. Yeah, I spent a year there. I didn't leave early. I finished my lease.
Oh, got you. Okay. Okay, so you actually stayed like a good amount of time even after then, but you were protected at that
I
part.
protected myself. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't, I stayed in certain groups. I didn't go, anywhere that much.
Right. Do you I mean, you've been through so much in your life, like so much fucked up stuff has happened to you or almost happened to you, has been close and stuff. What do you think is like this recurring thing that it's almost like your magnet for dangerous stuff to happen to you?
Yeah, it's I mean, I I would say, there was some brujeria done on me. And that was part of it. Part of me wanting me to be sex trafficked and taken away was a spell cast.
So there's no world where Tina is just paranoid and this is in her head that this stuff is happening and it's really not happening.
Is there another world where that happens? Like another
No, no.
dimension?
I mean, like reality, like realistically, this stuff is real that you're talking about. Because to the
Yeah.
viewer, somebody's gonna be like,
It
"Oh,
sounds
she's always."
crazy. It sounds
Yeah,
crazy. I mean, I
right.
can show you guys. I can pull up text messages with the fucking trafficker guy. You know what I mean? And show you my communication with him and the girl. I made sure to save them, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Because like to the viewer, they're like, "Oh, it's always some kind of crazy thing happening with her." Like, you know what I
You
mean?
wanna
Like, what
see?
the heck?
You
Like,
wanna see? Do you wanna see? Oh, she told me she had AIDS too. I just remembered. She said he gave her HIV. So this is what she said. She's like, right here, after I promise you I will resign and I will fix my life for the better. But till then, protect yourself. He knows, and I know you are from wealthy family and none of us wants your money, but he never wants that. And you're right, energy is priceless. I'll protect you from any too. I have been doing it for him for so long. So she's like, so I won't let anything happen to you. And I just still showed her love after that, Panda. Like, she was like basically telling me that she was going to get out of, being this prostitute and recruiter for him and all of that and change her life around. And I'm like, how do I still have compassion after all this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like why? Like the average person probably would be like, "Well, fuck you. You tried to screw me over." Like, you know?
Yep. Look, hold on. I'm going to show you where she says, look, hold on. She called me ate. Like in the Philippines, if you look up to like an older aunt or whatever, they call you ate. So she called me ate. She said she had never experienced genuine love like that in her life, I was like, oh my God, like
It's crazy. Wow.
look, uh, look, she said right here, thank you for saving me somehow. And I said, he didn't know who he fucked with.
Wow. Well, we're definitely glad that you're safe and that you're okay. Are you happy to be back in America, or you want to
Oh,
go back?
I will say this, even with all the fighting of, with all of us here, there is just something about the spirit of the American people. And it's just beautiful. Even the fighting is beautiful. Like we are one. We are like, even with the fighting, we don't realize how connected we all are, you know? So it's this bit of dissension and all of that. And I know I sound a little bit more like negative on social media, but really, if you sit with me like you're sitting with me right now, there's a lot of good and positive things coming. A lot. Things are about to get way better. And oh my God, too, again, vortex-based math. There's a lot is happening. There's a whole financial shift that's going to be happening too with the QFS and everything. Like, so just get ready, stay in tune, be open up your mind, expand your mind to new things so that you can receive new information so that you know where to head. Because if your consciousness is not expanded and open to certain information, then you will literally be left behind. And it's your choice to not open your mind to receive new information, so that you can live a better life. And we're talking about the coming down of the U.S. corporation and all of that. I don't want to say too many words on here, but like to where our enslavement, where as citizens we are becoming sovereign citizens once again.
I feel like before you left, your energy was different than it is now. Your aura feels different. So how do you think that the experience in the Philippines changed you?
Oh my God, I'm gonna get all emotional. I had a lot of time to just sit with myself, like with nobody. I spent most of the time alone, and just reflecting on, you know, I sound negative a lot. I sound like I can be in this victim mentality a lot, but it was a lot of taking responsibility for my own life, for my own actions, for my reactions, for my perception, for my lack of taking control of my energetic field, of my auric field, my energetic space. And I realized like people are going to have ill intent all over the universe, in other dimensions and other planets. There's always going to be evil ensuing. There's always going to, but it's really just about me getting to this level of enough self-love and awareness for it, that's it. And that self-love in turn teaches you how to protect yourself. That self-love guides you on where to go, what choices to make. Because when you're not loving yourself, you're making poor decisions. So and really getting back to that place of you know finding me and loving myself. And I got my voice back, like, fully, you know? So, and then feeling the love of the Filipino people, the other side, the positive side, the positive people there that, imparted into my life, the people that brought me on their stages, the people that, you know, really shared their lives. So I'm just grateful for that.